Once upon a time, Can-Do Kiwi was browsing online late at night, likely to have had a few beers, and it was in the motorcycle dual sport section and came across this little number. I thought that's not a bad price for a mid-sized dual sport, so I threw a bid on, expecting nothing to come of it, and kept browsing and putting other bikes onto the watch list. And anyway, a couple of days later, bugger me, I receive an email that I've won it. Then, of course, I had to travel halfway across the country to pick it up, and then travel halfway back across the country to take it home. And then, upon getting it home, I found there was one or two problems. Hence the cheaper than normal price. I did a few searches online, watched a few reviews to see what I'd bought, and the common complaints were the fork seals weren't the greatest and can leak. The bolt holding the subframe onto the frame shear off if they're not kept tight or they're not replaced with high tensile. And they say the seat is uncomfortable. All of which I agree with, because my bolts had sheared off. I've had to replace those. The fork seals are fucked. I had to replace those. Now, riding it for the first time today, I'm realizing also I now need brake pads. So the bargain online is starting to mount up a little. But as a replacement for the Leoncino Trail, which I had for almost a year, the suspension on this is far superior. And I've just trialled it now up some corrugated gravel roads, and this handled everything very well, where the Leoncino Trail was having a spastic attack with the rear suspension. So far I haven't insured it because I was unsure whether I was going to keep it. After my initial ride now, I am thinking I shall keep it a bit longer, just to give it a bit of a go, a bit of a chance. I'll get some brake pads sorted out. I will get the comfort seat, which I have found online in Italy, which is a bit more or less sculptured and a bit higher up with more padding through here, so you're not locked in that one position. In this position here, I'm sort of forced forward and my knees are into this area here, which is not the most comfortable. But I'm sure with a better seat that'll sort that out. There's a few other little minor niggles. I've seen online that someone complained about this sort of digging into the side of the boot while standing. I agree, it digs into the side of the boot while standing. Not a biggie, but you can feel it. Currently this thing has got some very sort of road orientated tyres on. It's been raining quite a bit here lately. Not this patch of road, but I've been through some pretty muddy sections where the mud has all bled through the gravel, and it's the momentum that's carried me across. But these tyres are damn near ready for replacement anyway, so I'll give them a bit more road use, and then I'll chuck on some Dunlop D606s or something. But handling wise, so far on the road, quite impressed. Plenty of torquey power, the nice throb from the exhaust, bit of a burble when you button off. So far it's working out. Another thing I've noticed, the fuel cap here, it has a funny plastic arrangement thing that holds it in. The whole thing removes and has a funny plastic arrangement in the inside, which I'm not overly thrilled about, but as long as nothing snaps off in it, should be alright. The fuel gauge, after I filled it up, took about 9 kilometers to tell me how much fuel I had. Still got pretty much a full tank in it at the moment, but I had to ride 9 kilometers before it'll start registering that I had just filled it up. It's a pull the clutch in job to start. I'm sure those mufflers won't melt the indicators off the exhaust. Not a lot of vibration, fairly smooth to ride. Mind you, I haven't ridden a lot of big twins or singles, this being a single of course. State Highway 1 during holiday season. That's why I ride an adventure bike, to stay off this main road. Trouble is, it goes up through the centre of the island and you've got to cross it at some point. Yes, it needs brake pads and a side stand extender. These definitely obstruct the knees when you're forced into this position here on the seat. That's not long enough for me. Pegs are fairly good. I could do some wider enduro type ones. Good thing it's got a centre stand, bit of extra weight, but makes oiling the chain and a bit of maintenance easier. Comes with the spots. The previous owners put heated grips on here. He's got a zip tie in here. Oh, I see the wires almost pulled out because the thing keeps spinning around hard on me. I've got to deal with that. I think there's going to be a few things to deal with on this. The screen has a bit of a Goldilocks spot where I can ride with my visor up like I usually like to. There's only one position though. You go slightly forward and I got buffeting across my eyes, further back and I got buffeting, but it's got a bit of a Goldilocks spot where I can ride my visor up and there's no pressure on my eyes at all, like I like to ride on my V-Strom. Only trouble is it's not a very comfortable position for the stretch of the arms and the back in that position where the Goldilocks zone for the buffeting is. So maybe a different screen. I'll be able to add something there myself, make it up out of some clear stuff. It doesn't have to be flash. I just got to find the right angle and the right height. Anyway, radiator's got some guards in there. That's good. Not too much shit sprays all over the engine. Handguards, I've got to get some better handguards. These are just, I'd say they snap off the first time you had a decent off. But vibration wise, it's fairly good. Fueling's not too smooth in the lower revs. Get the revs up a bit though and it starts to pull quite nicely, but you get to that point though and you're moving too rapidly for a lot of the technical stuff. So I'd sort of prefer the fueling to be a bit smoother in the lower revs. I'm not going to be going balls out all the time. It's not the sort of rider I am. In my early 50s now. So my V-Strom 1000's my main touring ride. This has been purchased with the intention of doing these very sort of roads I've just been doing, the local gravel roads where the V-Strom is a bit heavy. Plenty of nice views to be seen. I don't know if you can see way over there, but there's the islands and the bay and a bit of a range through there. And the roads that go through this area over the hills are all gravel. Most of the routes off the main road are gravel around these areas. So ideal for this size bike, but not these tyres. I think I might just bite the bullet and change them out shortly. I'm going to be going down to the bike shop in Auckland to find brake pads anyway, by the looks of it. The suspension, fairly happy with that after the Leoncino Trail, which would have had an epi over this road I've just ridden up. I used to ride the Leoncino Trail up this road, but the corrugations used to sort of, you used to really feel the corrugations through your rear seat, through your butt. This here is pretty good. The suspension's pretty good for what I do. You're not going to be doing any motocross on it or flat out enduros, but for the purposes of what it's been bought for, I think it's a keeper for now. Still got a few tweaks, but I understand with the Husqvarna TE610/TE630 engine, it's a good reliable old donk in there. So I've got 2 spare oil filters, so I've got to ride it for at least 10,000k, don't I? Anyhow, that's probably it for now for the verbal stuff. I've got no mic in my helmet yet, just relying on the external mic on the camera. I've actually ordered online a mic to go inside the helmet. I'm actually wanting to get a mount for my Shoei Neotech 2 so I could actually mount the camera on that. Anyway, enough dribble. Back down the road, close to home. Time for a coffee. Let it do its thing through the cycle. I might let that thing get ahead of it. Just up here is the Northland-Auckland border. Might just have a look at that. Not that it changes much. Just from one local authority maintaining the road to another local authority. So there we have the boundary for Auckland and Kaipara districts. and the road also changes from one name to another. Anyway, just sort of a final note to say that I only make these videos for myself and friends and family, but feel free to subscribe or click the bell button or whatever YouTubers like to do. I'm not asking anyone to, but if you're curious to see what I intend to do in the future, there's going to be some adventure touring of New Zealand sites and scenery coming up in the near future. I'm going to start getting out there and riding more. I've ridden a lot in the past around New Zealand, and I tell people about it and they don't know what I'm talking about, so now I'm going to start to show them. So especially friends and family, they've got no idea what I do, and hopefully soon they'll get an appreciation of what it's all about, and you're quite welcome to come along for the ride. Thanks for watching. What's an Italian bike without an oil leak? Something else I've got to sort out.